Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of Race 15, Season 60 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. It's championship night. 4 drivers began the journey last week to put themselves in the best position possible, points-wise, here this evening. The stage has now been set, and it's time to find out at the end of 66 laps under the lights at Burt Screwdrivers Raceway who will be the Season 60 champion. Joining me again here in the booth this week is Andrew Miller. And Andrew, we saw some drivers get off to a really good start last week. Other drivers, they're going to be scrambling from behind here tonight if they're going to have a shot at that trophy.
That they are. We got Joe DeSpirito and Rodney Solins, who are going to be the guys chasing both Brian Schilling and Richard Martin up at the top. But with this being essentially an awesome night version of Talladega here at Burnt Screwdrivers, it's going to be a big wild card as always. But we know that those guys can definitely make their way to the front. What really got them in the hole that they were was some things not going their way, and the fact that there was only one single caution that never allowed them to get bunched back up. Once you get those guys into a big group again, they can find their way to the front very quickly. We saw that with Schelling last week. Hopefully we'll be able to see it from him again, as he's also starting deep in the field. Seth, honestly, I don't know what to expect here tonight with how scattered the championship 4 are in the field, and the fact that you got DeSpirito and Sullins who have to make up as much ground as they do. And of course, you got, I think, 25 other drivers at least who are going to be trying to gun for this win. It's going to be a heck of a night.
We talked about last week that the race at Talladega was going to set the stage, maybe give us a little bit of an idea of what to expect here tonight. You touched on it a little bit. One of the biggest things that really set apart Schilling and Martin from DeSpirito and Sullins in terms of finishing results was pit road. The execution themselves and the execution, or maybe lack thereof, of others' mistakes costing DeSpirito and Rodney Sullins valuable time on pit lane. You mentioned the fact only one caution, so not any opportunity to be able to catch up for the 24 and the 38. Do we see that again here tonight? Because I was watching these guys in practice, and DeSpirito looked like he was attempting the hot pit, but some of the others, they kind of were reining back on their approach to the commitment line, trying to make absolutely certain the execution tonight is going to be spot on.
I think if you're Schilling or Martin, your priority has to be just keep it in the lead pack. If it goes green for a while, then you have to stay in that lead pack. And if you hot pit, you run that risk of potentially getting a drive-through penalty. I'm wanting to say that something like that may have happened to Sullins, or is something that caused him to go a lap down. And if you end up in that predicament, your championship is basically over, no matter who you are there in that final 4. So possibly playing that conservative game might be the play. Maybe pulling a strategy like Schilling did last week, where he stayed out to get a lap led and a bonus point. That might be the way to go. It'll be interesting to see exactly what kind of strategy these guys are going to pull. But above all, those around them must also execute, because getting on the pit road in any big pack is always going to be tricky.
Yeah. Points going to be very important here tonight. I'm with you. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the 24 and the 38 give up track position, get that bonus point for a lap led. Another thing that always seems to happen here ever since they implemented this in the rules is the random qualifying draw. You and I were looking here at the lineup here tonight before we came on the air. Richard Martin drawing the long straw, if you will. He'll roll off 8th here tonight. Not too far behind him, Rodney Sullins 12th, Joe DeSpirito 16th, but Brian Schilling back in 25th. We know it's not going to take that Ford truck very long to get up to the front, but I don't know. If you are the guy that comes into this race right now, 2 points over your nearest competitor, leading the point standings, looking for your 5th championship since season 38, are you a little nervous with where the random draw puts you?
I would be, mainly because of the fact that, you have the ability to get back up to the front, but you're going to end up in a hornet's nest. That's just how the nature of super speedway racing is with these guys. They're going to go 3 wide. And at the very least 2 wide with guys on the inside, and that inside lane, even at this particular racetrack, still pushes up a lot. So I'm sure that Schilling is going to be gritting his teeth, just to be like, just keep it clean, guys, and just let me try and gain some positions here. Because anything could happen when you're in the middle of the field like that.
You talked about the fact we got another 25 plus drivers in the field aside from our championship four. They want to end
Drivers,
out the season
start
with a victory.
your
As you hear the command
engines.
being given, it's Chris Emery, that bright neon yellow 000, who's going to get the pole position here tonight. Ron Hagelin will start alongside of him on the front row. Bobby Farrell, Bernie Moms, they'll be back in row 2. Greg Palmer, JT Mayhew in row 3. Kelly Causey, he'll be alongside of the highest of our championship four, Richard Martin. They share row 4. Bob Seminara and Robbie Nisus will be the top 10 here tonight. Rodney Sullins, he is 4th of the championship four coming into tonight, 17 points out, but he's going to be on the inside of row 6 alongside of Mark Paglia. Row 7 is where we're going to find Craig Hagley and Jeremy Jeffries. We'll be talking about Jeremy here in just a few minutes, a dual champion here in Season 60. Joe DeSpirito, he is 3rd at the championship four, 13 points back. He's going to roll off on the inside of row number 8 alongside of Jeff Crivello. Row 9 is going to find Donnie Garrett and Doug Hewlick. In the top 20 will be Tim Nofsker and Josh Metallic. Wiley Coe will roll off in 21st. 22nd will be Jim Gloud. We mentioned Brian Schilling. He'll be rolling back in the 23rd position from the grid. Comes into this race the top of the championship four currently after his runner-up finish last week. Cy Jones, he's going to be alongside of Brian back in row 12. Row 13 finds John Godfrey and Bob Dixon. Tom Dixon shares row 14 with last week's winner, Chuck McClure, now a multi-time winner on the season. And then Mike Rogers and Glenn Harris going to complete the 30-truck field here tonight. The way it looks for the championship four coming into this evening, Brian Schilling, 2 points over Richard Martin, 13 back to Joe DeSpirito, 17 back to Rodney Sullins. Mathematically, DeSpirito and Sullins could point their way to the championship, don't necessarily have to win. There's enough trucks in the field for that kind of scenario, but they're going to have to hope the 4 and the 43 maybe to run into some problems in tonight's race. Well, one final time here in Season 60, the Flatout Racing Network Chevrolet Silverado Pace Truck's going to make the left-hand turn to pit road. He'll leave it in the hands of Chris Henry, who's ready to get us underway. Green flag. Final time it will wave in the 60th season. Incredible number for Rolling Thunder Gaming. And it happens here tonight at the track that's decided it all here this season. It was the season opener, the regular season finale, the elimination race venue, and now the championship decider, Burt Screwdriver's Raceway. Green flags in the air. The finale is underway. Couple of blue ovals on that inside line off of turn number 2. And Andrew, you talked about this, the fact that the configuration of this track is just like Talladega, but we've seen this season and past seasons, ever since this track made its debut on the Talladega Challenge Series schedule, it doesn't exactly race like Talladega because, oh, we got a wreck. Oh, Farrell's up and over.
That did not take long.
That did not at all. Gracious. Couple more trucks were involved further back there as well. Robbie Nisus, Mike Rogers, Cy Jones, Tom Dixon, Glenn Harris, Ron Hagelin. Were any of our championship four involved? I don't believe so. Doug Hewlick. That all started with the leader. He got super loose there going into 3 and then came back up the track into the 92.
He had to have gotten bumped by Farrell. That is my only guess as to how he could have gotten that loose that quickly. They wouldn't have been even up to full speed at that point.
Looking at the way they crossed the line here, it looks like all of the championship four made it back to the stripe, including Brian Schilling, who picked up 6 spots because of that incident on the very first lap. We'll take you back here to turn number 3, but trouble right up at the front to start this one off. Let's take a look and see if the 92 does get to the bumper of the 000. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Andrew. Bobby Farrell got the worst of that, and then it doesn't look like he got into the trucks further back. I think they all kind of ran into each other, scattering, trying to figure out if the 92, who was upside down, was going to come back down the track, up the track, trying to figure out which lane he was going to be in.
Robbie Nisus actually also flipped over after contact from the 7 of Cy Jones. But, yeah, If there's a bump gone wrong, and actually something happened with Cy Jones here. I'm gonna look at this.
Let's take a look at the hit by Bobby Farrell in the 92. There you see the late bump going into the entrance in 3. Emery trying to save it, back up the banking. Little contact there for the 31 of Bernie Mobbs. There's Hagelin, there's Harris. Tom Dixon nowhere to go. Doug Hewlick. Well, we had him listed as involved, but I think he came to a stop and actually slowly made his way through the wreckage. Don't think he got any contact. Ron Hagelin, I do believe, yeah, he was slated to roll off from the front row, elected to take the voluntary EOL, and that's what put him back in this situation.
Yeah, Schilling was. I watched him go through that. Yeah, he was nowhere near it. He just kind of held his lane, and the 92 stayed up there, so no real threat there for the 4. But the 92 and the 7 and the 54 are definitely going to be struggling here for the rest of the race. I'm actually surprised that Farrell's even able to keep going, as that roof looks a little caved in.
What?
Chuck McClure also did a good job of getting through that incident after he was deep in the field on the starting lineup, looking for back-to-back victories here, which would tie him with Rodney Sullins and Brian Schilling for most wins on the season. Right now, Schilling and Sullins with 3, McClure and DeSpirito with 2. Now, I mentioned the fact for Brian Schilling. Unfortunately, the statistics on the Rolling Thunder Gaming website only go back as far as season 38. We don't have the statistics prior to that. So Schilling and DeSpirito are the 2 former champions of our Final 4 coming into tonight. DeSpirito looking for his 7th championship. Brian Schilling is looking for his 5th. Schilling, the most recent champion back in season 57. Richard Martin and Rodney Sullins both looking for their first. Rodney Sullins, the best he has finished in a overall season championship battle was 4th. That was back in season 58. Richard Martin, you got to go all the way back to season 39, the highest he ended up finishing, which was 2nd in the championship standings. He did a few seasons later finish 3rd in overall points. It's the closest he was to the championship, 3 points behind a tie for the final championship between Joe DeSpirito and Bob Seminara, but both of those drivers gunning for their first championship trophy here in the Talladega Challenge Series.
I gotta also send a shout out here to Seminara. Of course, always a great driver on these tracks, and honestly, a real surprise that we do not see him in this championship 4. But hey, that is the nature of a Talladega-oriented series. When it's every race is super speedway, literally anything and everything can happen at some point or another. But regardless, I expect that 712 to be a threat at some point in this race.
Mention the fact, Jeremy Jeffries, big congratulations to him, a dual champion here in season 60. Monday night, took the championship in the Bare Bones Racing Series. Tuesday night, in a photo finish with Ron Hagelin, the export had it at 1/1000th of a second. I think it might have possibly been a little closer based off of the photo. He just barely edged out Ron Hagelin to win both the season finale at Homestead and the championship Tuesday night. The Wednesday night championship is still yet to be determined. There's some server issues last night. They were supposed to run the finale for the Aero 88 series. Were unable to do so. It's been rescheduled for next Wednesday, but pretty likely Jeff Supta will end up being the champion of the Aero 88 series, as he has a 53-point lead over Brian Schilling going into that final race. So don't think that we're wrong in giving early congratulations to Jeff Supta as the champion on Wednesday nights, and now we're getting ready to determine who the champion is here on Thursday nights. As a matter of fact, interesting the fact talking about the Aero 88 mod, because next Monday, that being December the 18th, 9 o'clock, we're going to be bringing you coverage of the 2023 Happy Holidays 200 here for Rolling Thunder Gaming. They'll be at Michigan Nextel Winter with the Aero 88 cars, plus if you tune in next season with our coverage of Season 61 of the Talladega Challenge Series, they're moving over to that mod. That is going to be interesting. I had a talk with Josh Metallic last week, Andrew, about how do you draft with Aero 88 cars, and apparently they ran the Aero 88 cars at a couple of super speedways on Wednesday nights this season. Everybody loved the way that it raced, and they wanted to bring it over to Thursday nights.
And that's why they're doing it. I haven't run Aero 88s too much myself. But yeah, everyone was saying like, "Oh my gosh, this is great! You guys need to bring this for the Tally Challenge," and that's what they're doing. And based on everything that I've heard, Seth FRN is going to be in for a great show when it comes
Yeah.
to those Air 88s. I am going to just mention about this race. I do believe that our second place runner, Greg Palmer, may have fallen out of the race from the front row, and he has indeed fallen out of the server.
I think you are correct. Tough break there for him. Doesn't look like he's fallen out of TeamSpeak, so he may be able to come back into the server. We will wait and see about that.
And that is a tough break. That has been happening to him a lot lately, especially when he's on a good run. Oy, I hate that for him. I really do. He's always up there in a lot of these races, either here at Talladega or otherwise.
Yeah, another driver that you were talking about. Shocked that we don't see Seminara up here battling for the championship tonight. Grant Wesley, another driver who has played with connection issues around the midway portion of this season. He's not in the field here tonight, but remember, coming into tonight's championship battle, he was a driver that had won 3 of the previous 4 championships, including back-to-back. So, going to have a different driver outside of the 88 hoisting the championship trophy. Now, you see the 28, he's lagging back here. That is on purpose because the 22 is scheduled ahead of him, even though he fell out. So to make sure he doesn't get a black flag, he's still lining up in that second row alongside of Kelly Causey. So Emery's going to have the front row all to himself here for this restart.
Well, make that the top as he jumps up there, and I don't blame him. That is a great place to be. And you've got a great pusher. And Mark, oh my gosh, again? Now, I will also mention this. Sorry, I thought he got a bad bump there for a second when I saw him dive down there. But if there is one thing that we saw last week with Chris Emery, and I know this about him, I mentioned it last week, he is aggressive with blocks. And he just did it there twice. And we're on lap 6.
Yeah.
We just took the green. So, this 000 is going to be quite a force to be reckoned with here when he's at the front.
Had a shot at that checkered flag last week at Talladega. Led a good portion of the latter section of that race after the final round of green flag pit stops. Was unable to hold off Josh Metallic and Chuck McClure, Brian Schilling. I think he brought it home in the 6th or 7th position, though. A great points night for him. And up front here again this evening by virtue of the pole position via the random qualifying. And Buckshot, how about this? You got 5 zeros up here at the front. The 000, the 00.
Yeah, and I don't think they really want to work together too much. I think Causey wants that lead. But, he's throwing a lot of blocks here. But now we've got a pretty well-defined outside lane led by Bernie Mobbs. But look at that. 3 of the 4 championship drivers are nose to tail behind him. Solins, Despirito, and Schilling, with the 43 of Demar right down there. So all 4 of the championship drivers right near each other.
It's such a catch-22, isn't it, when you're in a championship battle, because you don't want to work with the competitors, with the opposition, but at the same time, they got to the championship 4 because they're fast, and if they're fast and you're fast, then fast and fast makes faster, and it's going to get you to the front. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but at the same time, you're helping them against yourself. So it's weird politics that take place even with a championship on the line in super speedway racing. As Causey, nice moves there, a little double move on Chris Emery in the back straightaway, and he gets to the inside and goes to the lead.
Oh man, and I thought that Solins was going to go with Bernie Mobbs there, but he doesn't. He's going to stick with Emery and going to leave Bernie out there on the outside lane all by himself. You have to go all the way back to Donnie Garrett, it looks like. But and now Demar going to jump up there. Maybe going to come back.
A little indecisive there for the 43. Up, down, can't figure out which lane he wants to be in. Now looks like he's committed to the second groove there in 1 and 2.
This is intense, and we're on the 9th lap.
And there's a championship on the line. You wouldn't think it the way they're racing right now. Bear in mind, though, for Brian Schilling and Richard Martin, right at the moment, they got to make sure that the truck's in one piece because they're on the defensive. They've got a pretty good points gap back to Rodney Sullivan and Joe DeSpirito. On the flip side, though, if you're Rodney Sullivan and Joe DeSpirito, you can be ultra offensive right now because you got to gain every position, every point possible. Where would you want to be if you're in that type of scenario? Do you want to be defending the points, or do you want to be on the aggressive getting the points? We're 4 wide through the trial, by the way, while I wait to I'll let you think about that question.
I think that may have just answered it because Schilling basically said, "I've got to get by this 000," and it now files into the middle lane. But Schilling going to lose a little bit here. And I'm seeing him be the first one to make that move to that outside lane. I don't think that he's really playing it all that conservative right now, is Schilling. But now, Demar, 43, Richard Martin, leading the outside lane. I'm pretty sure that, of course, as they finish right now, Demar would handily have the championship. So it could be just that quick that Schilling is in a good spot, and then next thing you know, he's 7-8 spots behind his nearest rival. So I think that you have to be aggressive and at least a little bit at every point in the race, but then especially toward the end.
Well, we know, we've seen it week after week. Brian Schilling is very at home up on that outside line 3 wide. It seems like he's always one of the first to jump up there. Kind of the Dale Sr. mentality, go where they ain't. As look, contact maybe back there, John Godfrey, almost like he got forced down there, maybe below the yellow line. Jeremy Jeffries back in that vicinity. You don't know what was happening mid-pack, but they keep the things pointed straight. Going back, though, to the point you were talking about, for Richard Martin, the goal is clear here tonight. You don't have to win this race. You don't even really have to finish up inside of the top 10 as long as you finish 3 positions ahead of the 4. That is if neither of you end up leading a lap and getting a bonus point for a lap led. We talked with Demar last week. He came off the podium, finished 3rd place in the first race of this final round, and he said, this is how I got into the playoffs, this is how I've advanced in the playoffs, and this is how I'm looking to win the championship. I want to be consistent. I don't necessarily want to go out there and wreck myself for that checkered flag. I want to make sure I bring the thing home in one piece, get the best finish possible, remain consistent with top 5s every single week.
And scored 5th the last time by. Right now, going to be around 6th, maybe 7th here with Jeff Crivello coming up on the inside with a great run so far for this 56. But right now, pushing another one of his rivals there in Joe DeSpirito. But yep, as you said, you've got to be consistent in this series because it's easy to go from leading to throwing a bad block and ended up at the back. Like right now, Chris Emery was leading. Not many people wanted to work with him probably for those blocks that he was throwing. And now he's one of the last cars in this draft. So now, granted, I mean, guys like these guys in the Final Four are probably going to have a lot more guys willing to help them out. So they probably have a little more leniency that way. But at the end of the day, you got to be selfish, try to put yourself in a decent position to finish strong, finish decent, but not get in trouble.
Couple of updates here. It looks like Ron Hagelin, who is involved in the only caution we've had so far tonight, back on lap 1. He's taken his truck back behind the wall. He is going to get credit for 30th place here tonight in the finale. And Greg Palmer, we saw him fall out of the server when he was scheduled to roll off 2nd on the restart. He apparently did get back on the racetrack before we went green, remained on the lead lap. He is up in this lead pack right now. Last time by, scored in the 11th position. So good job making a little bit of a comeback there after some connection problems for driver 22. Has got a couple of drivers leaving that middle line, moving down to the inside. Kelly Causey continuing to show the way. 2-time winner last year was Kelly Causey. Advanced his way into the playoffs, but so far a 0 in the win column for him. Mark Paglia ended a winless streak this season. Looking for his 2nd victory on the season. And JT Mayhew, who was in the playoffs last year, he's still looking for that first career victory. Could happen here tonight in the 338.
You got a couple of good sleepers there to win this thing in Causey and Mayhew. JT Mayhew, I believe, won at this very racetrack in the Tuesday night series earlier this year in a pretty good finish. We got Tim Nofsker looks like leading the outside lane right now, and now they're going to come down to the middle. And another guy that can find his way from the back to the front and is doing a good job of it right now, Jeremy Jeffries, up here in that number one. No surprise there for the couple-time champion already this season, as you were talking about just before we went green.
We talk about all the politicking that goes into super speedway racing. You need friends, you need teammates to be able to make passes and work your way to the front. You know, for the championship four here tonight, I think back to last week, Brian Schilling helping Chuck McClure win that race. It also helped him to finish second and have the points lead coming into tonight. If you're the 4 or the 43 or the 24 or the 38, how much time did you spend this past week saying, hey, you know, if we're in a position where I can push you to a victory and I end up getting a lot of points, you know, I'd like to be able to work with you here. How much donning of the suit, the diplomatic suit, went on here this week, do you think, to try and better their chances of being the season 60 champion?
Definitely possible. Like for instance, right now you got McClure right behind Schilling, and I'm sure that maybe Chuck might be willing to maybe try to keep some other guys at bay, knowing what Schilling did for him last week. Maybe calling upon some old favors. Hey, remember maybe a couple seasons ago I did this for you? Well, maybe you could do this for me now. But at the same time, probably 90% of this field has been running with each other for years and years and years. So they know each other. They know how well each other can push, who's the better pusher. And I'm sure that a lot of that just probably goes into, all right, where can I position myself and who do I know is probably going to be more willing to stick with me as compared to um, not so much. So I think with that knowledge, that's going to be more so what's going to go into it as opposed to maybe going around and saying, hey, could you help me out here? Even though you could call upon some old favors.
Well, we talked about that last week. Pit road was really the proverbial X factor in determining where our championship four are positioned here tonight, points wise. We are only about maybe 2-3 laps away from when a majority of the field's going to have to come down pit road. We only had 12 drivers hit the pit lane under that caution back on lap 1. So about 2/3 of the field still will have to make a pit stop, and we're right around the time where that fuel window is that they are going to have to come to pit road. Drivers have said in the past that this particular racetrack at BSR is a little bit trickier getting onto pit lane, getting that thing woed down than it is at Talladega Super Speedway. So we'll see what our championship four able to do here. I believe, I'm going to double check here. Yeah, all 4 of our championship 4 did not come to pit road under that yellow, so they'll maybe all be coming down pit road together, which is interesting because also during practice, saw the 24, the 38, and the 43 all practicing coming to pit road together in a group. So we'll see if they maybe do that again here with pit stops looming.
And we'll see. We may have a taker or two this time. But yeah, these guys are going to have to sort it out really quickly because, yeah, like you said, we're probably about a lap or two away from these guys needing to pit. I mean, sure, they probably gained a lap, maybe 2 worth of fuel just pacing around. But yeah, we're going to have to get this 3 wide sorted out here really fast.
That was Bob Dixon making the dive onto pit lane. And another thing about green flag pit stops at super speedways is not only do you have to execute perfectly and getting the thing woed down, hitting your marks on your pit stall and getting the launch off of pit road, you have to rely on the others around you. Rodney Sullins last week ended up getting hit from behind by a spinning truck that sent him over the pit road speed limit, got the black flag, had to serve it, and that's why he's 17 points behind the championship coming into tonight. So, oh boy, championship hanging in the balance, and your competitors could end up playing a factor as well into whether you're going to be the champ or not. Looks like we're going another lap around before a majority of the field comes down pit road. More than likely, I think some of these drivers would have thrown in the clutch under the pacing laps and maybe able to stretch another extra lap or 2 than we would have originally projected. Oh, yeah, I think maybe the 00 might have just been either queuing up, he's coming to pit road, or maybe unchecking some tires there because he got the apron there in turn 1.
Oh, everybody's coming.
Oh, man. Yeah, and all 4 of the championship drivers are in this lead group.
But we're 2 wide. And I say everybody.
Everyone collectively
It's
hold
gonna
your
a
breath.
lot of front runners.
Oh boy. Here they come. Looks like Martin
Keep
and
him clean.
Espirito.
Oh,
Little contact.
that was Martin and Despirito
Yep.
that actually hit. But they keep it straight. That's good to see. There's
Paglia.
Seminara.
Emery. Look at Emery trying to cut through there. He's got the number 1 pit stall. Seminara. Leader Kelly Causey. Bernie Mobs in. Donnie Garrett, Jim Gloud of the first group. Looks like they all got on relatively good outside that little bit of door contact between the 43 and the 24.
Majority of the second pack looks like going to pit this time. Schilling and Sullins are both in this pack.
Spreading out, trying to find the lanes. Oh, we got a spinner in the back. Hagley
Oh,
got John Godfrey. I think the caution's going to
that
fly. It
could be a
is.
yellow, and it is.
And they're still wrecking there at the entrance of pit road. Hewlick and I think that was McClure got together. They actually straightened it out. Now the question is, some of these guys at the front of this pack, I think they made the commitment line before the caution came out. I think they can take service. Looks like Novsker's going to take service. Schilling, I think, is going to pass through and not pit. Same for Jeremy Jeffries.
The lead is going to be credited to Josh Metallic as he made the hard turn to keep it off of pit road. So he'll be credited with the lead here if he's not out of gas and
Does
maybe
he
some
not? Yeah,
clutching.
does he have enough fuel to get back around?
He's not speeding up. I think he just ran out.
Oh man, this. Oh,
Yikes!
he
Boy,
might have had to avoid pit road because of the spin ahead of him potentially. Looks like Jeremy Jeffries going to give him a push.
yeah, good on him. But boy, now Seth, being a racer yourself, like that's the question though. Do you accept the penalty associated with pitting, or do you risk it like like Metallic just did, and Craig Hagley also in the same boat? He's on the apron out of gas.
Yeah, I mean, the question is though, like for some of those other guys, would there have been a penalty for Metallic? I'm pretty sure he was definitely way behind the commitment line, so he would have gotten a penalty if he had taken service. But a couple of those guys there, Nofsker and Schilling and Jeffries, I'm pretty sure as now you got the leaders and those that weren't able to pit coming down pit road this time. I'm pretty sure when we go back and we take a look at the replay, the flagman puts out the red flag at the entrance of pit road after the top 3 or 4 had already crossed the commitment line, which says to me that they would theoretically not be pitting under a closed pit road. But then again, maybe I'd be wrong and I'd be taking service and I'd be getting a penalty. The 088 will give us
Oh,
an idea of whether there's a penalty that's handed out for taking service or
yeah,
not.
I was just saying, you know what? I'm actually looking at it. No one made it.
Oh,
No one
really?
made it at
Oh,
all.
okay.
Nope. Novsker was about a nose short of the line when the red flag was being thrown. Now, Schilling, I just watched him. He did not take service.
Right. Neither did Jeffries.
So that probably means no penalty. You just come back down and you accept a little loss of track position, which, as we saw last week, probably ain't gonna bother Schilling that much.
Right. Gonna be the second time tonight. He's gonna be starting towards the back. This caution actually a big break for Sullins, Martin, and Despirito, who pitted the lap before, because they'll stay on the lead lap and they will go around the 4 with him making this pit stop. Let's go back and take a look here at what you were talking about. Here's the leaders coming off of 4, coming to pit road. Now watch the flagman right side of your screen. Red flag out. Yep, about half a truck length that they were short of that commitment line. So good call there by the 1 and the 4 not coming to in taking service, but you'll see here Nofsker, I guess he thought that it was too close to not take service, and he'll more than likely end up getting an EOL penalty here and have to start at the tail end of the field. As come back to live, there you see him down the inside there letting drivers by because of that penalty.
And honestly, I think that's I would have done the same thing. I
Right.
would have said, you
If
know
it's
what?
too close, take the
Yeah,
gamble.
I would have went ahead and pitted. I would have taken service. Now that's just me. I tend to run these pretty conservative. Like I would not want to be in a predicament that possibly Metallic or Hagley ended up in.
Well, in the case of
I
Nofsker,
want
he's
to
not
lose a
battling
lot.
for the championship. So, if you end up losing the track position on that gamble, it's not nearly as devastating points wise as it would be for Brian Schilling, Rodney Sellens, DeSpirito, or Martin.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. As looking at it right now, the pole sitter has now re-inherited the lead. Chris Emery with Donnie Garrett, and then Despirito in third. Ooh, man, that's gonna be interesting now that Despirito with the call to pit a lap earlier, and Martin as well. They are now quite a ways ahead of both of their rivals.
And waiting for scoring to update. Looks like Schilling is going to be 11th on this upcoming restart. Looks like potentially. See, Richard Martin, he is his fifth, but it looks like Rodney Sullins came back down the pit road here under this caution period. So maybe playing a little fuel strategy there as driver 38. Remember, for Rodney Sullins, three-time winner on the season, two of his three victories right here at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, including the season openers. So a track that he's been very familiar with here in season 60, and maybe something that he's learned in a couple of those checkered flags he's picked up, putting to work here in terms of some fuel strategy, some pit strategy. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'm looking at the lap counter right now, and to quote the late great Kobe Bryant, if you can Bikram yoga stretch the fuel far enough, if anyone gets that reference, I will be amazed. But if you can stretch the fuel that much, you can one stop it from here. And I wonder if that's what Sullins is trying to do.
Afraid I don't get the reference, but I will take your word for it, and I will try and expand my vocabulary.
All I'll say is it was in a press conference, and I can't remember what a reporter asked him, but it was something kind of silly, and he just went, "Wow, that was a Bikram yoga stretch of how much you just tried to stretch what I said. Good job." It's really funny. I would definitely recommend looking it up.
Well, we should get the one to green signal this time by Bobby Farrell, Robbie Nisus were the first two trucks one lap down at the time the yellow came out. You see them going around getting their laps back. Don't know if you guys saw at top of the screen as the field was coming through the tri-oval, but Brian Schilling gave up an 11th place restart position to come to pit road, and Kelly Causey, who's led the most laps tonight in 14 total, he was going to be 13th. They both dove onto pit lane here at the 1 to green, so it's not just Rodney Sullins as a championship competitor that's playing the fuel strategy game.
I think everybody that just pitted under this last lap is going to probably try to stretch it on a one stop. I think everyone
Mm-hmm.
else, those guys are still going to have to stretch it. Everyone else, I don't think, is really going to have a chance at doing so, unless we get cautions where you can save a ton, but you end up not pitting. But man, that's going to be a long way to go because the pit window is about 19 laps at most if you're not saving.
Causey has led the most laps tonight at 14. Chris Emery, our pole sitter, just led his 8th lap of the evening. It's pretty much been dominated by the zeros here tonight. Only three other drivers have been out in front, and that was for a lap each. Doug Hewlick, Tim Nofsker, and Josh Metallic. So it's been a bit of a stranglehold up at the front of the field between Emery and Causey so far. But Donnie Garrett, who's going to restart in second, Joe DeSpirito third, Bob Seminara fourth, Richard Martin in fifth. You got the Florida gang lining up in the rest of the top five for this restart. Jim Gloud, highest he's been this evening, will be sixth. Bernie Mobbs there in seventh. Bob Dixon in eighth, and your top 10 going to be completed with Mark Paglia and Glenn Harris. Second caution of the evening, second restart of the evening. 40 laps to go in tonight's finale, and Emery going to be bringing us back to the green.
Now, we saw what Embry was willing to do early on in the race as far as trying to keep this lead. He now has two championship drivers behind him. Is he still going to pull that? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Green flag waves. Little movement towards the middle of the pack there. Maybe a little stack up with a couple of drivers caught flat-footed. Top two gonna get clear. Despirito shades to the top. Emery goes up to cover. Richard Martin now on the bottom. Ooh, he wanted to get up there in front of Bob Seminara. No space.
We got some hard pushing here. Now, another scenario that kind of plays into this, when you're Despirito, you're 13 back coming into this race initially, and now you're second. Oh, goodness, pushing very hard by the looks of it. How content are you to stay there?
Well, when you consider the fact that the 43 is currently running up there just, well, I think just outside the top 5 that time by, I don't know. I mean, that lap led bonus point's looking mighty tasty at the moment. Got to get every point possible. And I talked about this last week. It doesn't seem to matter who's in the championship for.
Ooh, and he's got some big help behind him.
Does.
So this is going to be big for Despirito. Oh boy, but now
Jim Cloud.
He's going to try to clear on Cloud.
Yeah, Cloud gets a big run there. Going into turn 3, he'll try and get to the back bumper of Emery and help that inside light. Despirito's clear, though, and I think he's going to get that lap-led bonus point we were just talking about, but it always seems like the Championship 4, they find each other in the same spot, in the same area of the racetrack, in the same pack. I remember back, I think it was, I can't remember the exact season, but it was back in the mid-50s, season 50s. It was the Championship 4 crossing the line in the finale, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. I think it was 4 points separated the entire Championship 4 at the end of the season. So, you know, we now have the 2-race final round that kind of breaks up that scenario, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the point championships are not close, just not necessarily between all 4. I mean, case in point, go back to last season. Wreck!
Warp incident.
Big wreck. And Schilling is in that. Oh my gosh.
Wiley Coat just warped into the field. That is what happened there.
Jeremy Jeffries, Chuck McClure, Mike Rogers, and there's a lot more. Wiley Coat spun down onto pit road. But the 4 of Brian Schilling was caught up in that one. The question is, how badly is that Square D Dodge damaged? Kelly Causey, who had led the most laps so far tonight, he was in it. Josh Metallic might have gotten a piece. Well, we touched on most of the main factors that could have affected the championship here tonight. Warp was not one of them.
Of course, that's the one thing that we completely forgot about, and that just happened. And yeah, that is absolutely what caused it. I saw him starting to warp, and oh yeah, he just warped right into the 23, and that's what caused it.
Big championship implications potentially here as we go back and take a look at what happened. We're going to take you back to the middle of 3 and 4. Keep focused on the 23. There you see the 5 on the top side with the side-to-side. Disappears, reappears inside of Hewlett's Toyota. Schilling catches air, hits with the front end. Ooh, I don't know.
I don't know if that's going to be catastrophic. He might be a little wounded, but I think he should be, knock on wood, I think he'll be okay. I didn't see him get warped into by anyone else, and it was a decent hit on the front end, but not a super hard hit. He didn't hit anything else. He may still be in decent shape.
We'll obviously have to wait till they get up to speed to see if the 4 is wounded or not, but I will say for the Brian Schilling fans out there, cast your memory back to his championship season, season 57. It was looking like at one point Schilling was out of the championship and advancing into the Final 4, was involved in a wreck, had a ton of front-end damage, and somehow, some way, with the aid of some really good pushers, he was able to pick up the checkered flag, a truck that probably should have been on the end of a tow hook. So there's still a chance that Brian Schilling could be able to pull this one out here tonight, but we'll have to obviously wait and see what the overall damage is. There's Nowhere for Kelly Causey to go. McClure had his right side tires up off the ground. Mike Rogers got sandwiched. Cy Jones in that. Craig Hagley in the 32. Biggest wreck we've had so far here tonight. We had been lucky with our 2 previous cautions. None of our Championship 4 had been involved. But this third one did get one of them in the case of Brian Schilling.
Now, he did just gain the lap lead bonus point. He stayed out here and he was able to lead the lap. So, and that's going to help him. He's basically now 3 ahead of Demar. So every bit helps. And as long as he can get that fixed and keep that thing up to speed, like I said, maybe get some hopeful pushers behind him, then I think he's still got a decent chance at this.
Now that wreck was off of turn 4. I don't know how much space there was between him and the field for him to be able to catch up, but drivers are sometimes able to gauge if they do have aero or engine damage by what their top speed is by the time they get back up to the pacing line. I almost wonder if Brian Schilling feels he is going to be underpowered. That's what called the audible of him getting that bonus point lap lead here tonight. I have to wait and see. Coming down here to take service. Let's watch the pit stop and try and see if we can gauge time-wise just how long he spends on pit road. See if they are going to spend an extensive amount of time making repairs or not. They just passed 10 seconds on that pit stop.
No damage.
About a 13-second pit stop. That's about what it is for a normal pit stop with no damage repair.
The telltale sign for me there was the jack dropped on the left side tires and he went immediately. That means that the damage has to be very minimal.
So maybe if he did get damaged, we could potentially be looking at aero damage, which means you just have to have somebody behind you to stay up in this lead pack. Then again, it could mean no damage at all. Super Speedway Racing is so finicky in terms of what will end up giving you damage, aero damage, engine damage, and what won't. We've seen cases of a harmless spin have a driver a couple miles per hour off the pace, and then we've seen drivers go into a barrel roll and still be up in the lead pack in the top 5 in the closing stages. So it's kind of a game of wait and see in case of Brian Schilling.
Yeah, I've been there once or twice, Seth. I'm sure you have too. And it's a sinking feeling when you're like accelerating and you're like, ooh, it's feeling great. We're getting up to speed. And then you top out like maybe 3 miles an hour short of what you were before. And you just drop like a stone.
Well, we will see what the diagnosis is for Brian Schilling when they get up to speed. Robbie Nisus staying out to lead a lap. Looks like he's going to be coming to pit road this time. That'll turn the lead back over to Joe DeSpirito. Well, so much for the strategy of making one more pit stop for some of those drivers that came to pit lane under the last caution at the 1 to green, because now everybody should be able to make it on one more pit stop with the timing of this third yellow. Looks like Cy Jones, Tom Dixon, they're going to be the lucky dogs here. They'll go around and both will be on the lead lap. Mike Rogers will be the only lap truck. He is currently -2. I believe he actually had to call a tow to pit lane after the impact he took in our most recent yellow. Front row, Joe DeSpirito and Chris Emery. Bob Seminara and Donnie Garrett will be row 2. Richard Martin, right now, mathematically would be the championship leader as he will be 5th on the restart. Bernie Mobbs in 6th. Then Mark Paglia, JT Mayhew, Rodney Sullins, and Jeff Cravello going to be the top 10 so far of our championship 4. DeSpirito and Schilling, the only 2 that have led laps, so they've got that bonus point in the bank should they need it.
Just checking on back here with some of the other trucks. The 23 looks really torn up, which that can also be kind of a factor. If you're not that badly damaged, but you've got guys in front of you that are, all it takes is just one moment of like getting stuck behind someone and you're losing the draft just like that. So Schilling has to be careful here if he is up to speed that none of the guys in front of him are suddenly starting to really drop off. And he's got to be ready to try to get around them if that were to happen. Also, keep an eye on Chuck McClure if he has much damage, because I'm sure that McClure is going to do what he can trying to help that 4 out.
Been a very interesting first half of this race for the former champion Brian Schilling. Go back to pit road, the first round of green flag pit stops. Caution came out. He wasn't able to take service, lost track position as a result. Involved in this one here tonight. You can even go back even before all that. He ended up rolling off the grid from 23rd, the furthest back of the championship four. So the stars have not aligned for Brian Schilling so far, but the good news is there's still half the race left to go. Joe DeSpirito, in order to get that extra bonus point for most laps led, he's going to have to beat the 13 laps led by Kelly Causey and 11 laps led by Chris Emery. He's got about another 8-9 laps to do so, but he will have control of this restart here as the 6-time champion gets ready to put us back under green.
And I will say that it's a very stacked inside lane as far as great super speedway runners. DeSpirito, Seminara, Martin, Paglia, and Sullins, and even Glenn Harris. That is a powerhouse of an inside lane.
Green flag out. Chris Emery looks like he tried to time that restart. I don't know if he timed it too well or Donnie Garrett wasn't ready. You can see the space there, almost a truck length between the top two on that outside line, which means the inside line, which is all formed up, they're going to get the advantage down the back straightaway.
Big shove to Emery. Now we'll see where the momentum is, and of course keep an eye on the 4 as far as his pace. Getting up to speed relatively okay. Got past the 23 pretty quickly. And, boy, actually has quite a run here on this outside. So far, while still accelerating, he's looking no worse for wear. Neither does Jeremy Jeffries, for that matter.
Yep, saw the one jump up there behind him, so looks like Jeremy is going to be Brian Schilling's wingman here to try get him back up to the front. Of course, for Brian Schilling, the guy he's gunning for right now is trying to go for the race lead, the 43. Schilling's got to get up there within, well, now only one position of Richard Martin, based off the fact he has the bonus point for the lap led.
Although that might change here.
Yeah, could cancel it out.
Yeah, he's coming for it here, and he's got a good push. And that outside lane with the momentum, I think he might get it here, but let's find out here coming off of 4.
Thought if he got clear of that inside line, he'd jump down in front of Joe DeSpirito, but he'll stay up here to the top. See if he gets the momentum off of turn 4 through the tri-oval. You can see he's edging ahead just the least little bit. Half a truck length, I think he's got it. So now it comes down to Brian Schilling having to finish 2 positions behind Richard Martin now here to be able to win the championship. And the 4 is coming. Look at him up there in that 3rd lane. Bernie Mobbs getting a big block from Donnie Garrett. That might stall the 3rd lane, which had a ton of momentum with the 31.088 and 4.
And DeMar's going to go up there to block
Look at Schilling. Schilling says, you going up, I'm going middle.
He's like, hey,
man, we were almost 4 wide for the 2nd time tonight.
Ooh, that was a bad bump there. And I thought 43 was about to have his championship hopes ended with that one.
All this going on around the 7th, 8th position, 3 wide, 4 rows deep, side by side between Schilling and Martin, who have both led laps here tonight. Schilling edges ahead, so for the moment, Brian Schilling back up to the top of the championship standings.
But look at this now. The 2 guys that I think I said last week would all but have to win are now 1st and 4th.
Yep.
With the other 2 kind of on the back foot. At least at the moment.
I mentioned the fact
Schilling's still not a bad spot. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I mentioned the fact that Rodney Sullins, 2 of his 3 victories came here this season at Birch Screwdrivers Raceway. Joe DeSpirito's still looking for his first. His 2 victories so far have been at Talladega.
And that is surprising, as that is a move from Martin. Trying to get up here. Oh, that's an awkward spot. Donnie Garrett. Oh, my gosh. Seth, last week was a great race, and I'm very, very thankful that I got the opportunity to call it with you. Tonight has already been something else that we're not even, still got more than 25 to go.
You think these drivers know it's the season finale? It's their last chance to get a checkered flag?
I think maybe that's having something to do with this.
I think they've figured it out.
But one thing is for sure, I think we have also figured out Schilling is in great shape.
Yes.
That truck is getting right up to the guy in front of him. He's not needing to rely on Nosker behind him. He's in great shape, so I don't think that he has anything to worry about as far as damage goes.
Yep.
He's just now going to worry about those other three.
Yeah, he's got to look to driver's left. He'll maybe see that left front quarter panel, the John Deere Chevrolet, trying to get to the inside of him there. Richard Martin, Brian Schilling going to be side by side again. It's kind of the tale of two tapes right now. The 24 and the 38 up here, they're trying to win this race to keep themselves potentially mathematically in the hunt for this championship. Meanwhile, you've got the single-digit points gap between the 43 and the 4 with them side by side back there.
I mean, as they run right now, obviously Solons is out of it, but oh my gosh, would it be close with Despirito and the other two? Holy cow.
Right now, Despirito, with not having yet the bonus point of most laps led, which he still could get if he leads the next 7 laps or so, right now, with him showing the way, he would need Brian Schilling to finish outside of the top 13 and Ronnie Sullins to finish, or make that Richard Martin rather, to finish outside of the top 15. Right now, Schilling's running in 8th and Martin is running in 9th, so neither one of those drivers are yet at a far enough gap for Despirito to be in the championship picture.
And there's not a winner's bonus of like a few extra points?
I don't believe so. I'll double check on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and I run in this series a fair amount, so I'm sorry that I should probably know that myself. But no, in the meantime, I mean, we've got like it looks like they're all orderly right now, but at the same time, I could just tell that they are aggressively pushing the heck out of each other, pretty much all the way back. There's a lot of movement. Guys are still being willing to kind of move around and see which lane's going to be the best route to go. And we still got a pit stop remaining.
We do.
So that is going to really open up the can of worms because pit stops were what caused the previous caution that snacked everyone up and thus led to the big one.
Yeah, we went back green on lap 34, so projectively, these drivers would have to pit somewhere around 10, 11 to go, around the lap 55 mark. A couple of them might be able to go a lap further if they topped off. Got 21 drivers currently up in this lead pack. You mentioned about potentially checking on the damage on the 17 of Chuck McClure. It looks like he definitely is not up to speed. He has lost the draft. Same for Robbie Nices, Tom Dixon, and Cy Jones. Garage area has piled up in the last couple of laps as well. Doug Kulik, Greg Palmer, and Bobby Farrell all now back behind the wall within the last 4 completed laps. Kulik will get 26th, Palmer 27th. Bobby Farrell will be 28th. We mentioned Mike Rogers was a couple of laps down. Apparently he did not officially retire, so it was just reading off laps down every time that these drivers made a circuit, but he is officially out of the race. He'll get credit for 29th, and Ron Hagelin exited the race very early this evening. He will be in 30th place, so we've got a total of 25 drivers still running, all 25 at this current time on the lead lap, and Chris Emery with the push from Donnie Garrett, the pole sitter, back out in front again.
And yeah, that's something that Despirito, a little side to side, warp on Seminara. Ooh, man, if that gets any worse,
Already
they might
seen
send him
Warp
back.
cause some problems already tonight.
Yeah, he's sticking with it for now. I'm sure Paglia also probably had his heart in his throat there for a second, just being like, oh, I'm right on your tail, dude. And JT Mayhew down there as well. I mentioned him earlier as kind of one of the guys that could definitely get it done. I would watch for that 338. Man, that inside lane's trying to hold its own. Outside, 3 wide, a little further back here, led by John Godfrey and now Jeremy Jeffries. No surprise there. But they're just kind of stuck at the moment.
So looking at it real quickly here, it looks like, if I'm doing the math correctly in my head, second place, leading no laps, gets 42 points, and first place, leading no laps, gets 46. So there's about a 4-point bonus if, well, no, I would say, well, it would be a 3-point bonus, I guess, 43 plus 3 for ending up winning the race.
Yeah, so, okay, and that makes sense. So that makes it really close. But now Schilling coming back up here on this outside lane, so probably in the championship position quite handily at the moment. Again, like I said, looking no worse for wear. Despirito doing a great job of holding it here on the inside lane. And we are probably, like as you said, about 10 laps away, about halfway through this particular pit window. 21 laps to go next time by on the season. Seth, this is awesome. And I'm so glad to be up here with you. This is fantastic stuff.
Absolutely, and we appreciate everybody joining us here tonight as well. Obviously, got to be different people rooting for different drivers in our championship four. Let us know whose corner you're in here tonight in our YouTube Live chat section here. Are you Team Despirito, Team Schilling, Team Martin, or Team Sullins? Right now, Brian Schilling's had an adventurous night as Paglia. Nice save there through the tri-oval. I don't know if his left side's caught the yellow line or he got a bad bump from Rodney Sullins. We nearly just had our fourth yellow flag fly, but let us know who you're rooting for here tonight. So far, Brian Schilling currently the championship standings leader as he is in the current position in about third place, and Sullins on the apron there, going to the back.
And he just completely lifted, and he's going to lose the draft.
Did he just... I'm not sure what was going on there.
Himself.
No, I don't know if that was the case. He never wrecked the 28. He never advanced his position. I wonder if this is a case of he was just trying to get out of Dodge and not liking what he was having up ahead of him. But to your point, he lifted way too much, and he has now lost the draft. Sullins in a must-win situation here tonight. Not exactly sure what went on in that whole exchange.
And he's the furthest back in the points. He is the only one of the championship four that has not led a lap. I don't know. Or maybe he had some kind of an issue, like where he briefly maybe alt-tabbed or something. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
And just tried to get out of the way so that nothing happened. But look at Donnie Garrett now up here in the lead, and that third lane is making a lot of hay. John Godfrey leading it.
What a season it has been for John Godfrey. Right now, as things stand, he is going to end out the year 5th in overall points. Just barely missed out on advancing into the Final Four, and up here with a chance of maybe picking up a checkered flag to end out the 60th season of the Talladega Challenge Series. But much like we always have seen here this past season and in previous seasons, as soon as that third lane starts moving up, the middle line stalls out and the inside line gains the advantage. Garrett and Despirito clear for the moment on the bottom. Maybe Seminara will be able to do the same here off of turn 4. Richard Martin would like that inside line to keep moving because he's there and he's trying to get back up alongside of the 4.
And another little wrench to throw in here. Sullins has pitted. He is currently on pit road. I mean, he can make it easily now.
Yep.
As long as he can maybe find some sort of a drafting partner, which doesn't look like he will. Or if he gets a lucky caution. But I'm pretty sure he just went a lap down, so that would be null and void anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. Whatever's going on with the 38, he's going to need a miracle at this point.
That is a big mystery right there for Rodney Sullins. Third time that he has appeared in the championship 4. Mentioned the fact that he finished 4th in championship standings as recent as season 58. Bob Dixon on pit lane. Usually he's kind of the one that sets the tone for when green flag pit stops will take place. Usually he comes to pit road about a lap or 2 before everybody else. So I said that these drivers could maybe make it to around lap 54, 55. We may see them on pit road a little bit sooner than that. I mean, the fuel window's open now to make it the rest of the way if they so chose. I don't know if maybe it's a case of them thinking of coming down pit road and taking on a can and a half rather than a can or something like that. I don't know. I think we got some radios lighting up. I think some more drivers are coming in.
24.
It's the money stop. Championship hangs in the balance. Martin's in too.
Whoa, Seminara. A
Both
little hot
Despirito
there.
and Seminara flying in. A couple of dodges with Wiley Coate and Bernie Mobbs. Jim Glaude. Jeremy Jeffries in. Mark
Now, yeah,
Paglia.
if they are fueling now, then they'll, of course, be able to probably be in their stall maybe a little shorter time if they still had maybe like 3 or 4 projected. And then that could save them time in the long run here. Now, the question is Schilling going to pit here? Or is he going to try to keep it going?
We
Nope,
talked.
he's coming in.
We talked about the fact Pit Road was going to probably play a factor tonight as it did last week. Remember, last week, late, it was, I think, the next to last pit stop. Nofsker, Metallic, Schilling, and McClure all came to pit road together, left pit road together, and dominated the second half of that race. Well, 3 of the 4 look like they're going to be together again here in Nofsker, Metallic, and Schilling. We'll see if
We
they're
got trouble
able
for
to...
Mark Paglia.
Round in 1 and 2. Looks
I
like
think
he's
he
going to get
misshifted.
Yep. He'll get it refired. He's down the apron. Should be good. Should stay green.
Golly, that's 2 really tough breaks. two races in a row for that 28.
Metallic's going to win the battle off of pit road of the second group. There you see the first group. Joe DeSpirito, Donnie Garrett, Bob Seminara working their way through the now lap trucks of Tom Dixon and Cy Jones.
Breeze is on by everyone coming off of pit road there. You're catching up to Metallic now. And now this is it. This is where the stage is going to be set. If this goes green, are these guys going to be able to stick with each other? Are they going to be able to hold the draft? And yeah, who's going to get it done from there? It's going to be on now.
With pitting sooner, Demar jumped Brian Schilling. Looks like he's going to cross the line around 5th or 6th. Schilling may be in danger of losing this lead pack. No, I think he still got the draft here. Oh, and now Martin gets shuffled out.
Going to be a factor in this as well, as he stayed out an extra lap. And man, he's a mile ahead of these guys. So whatever JT Mayhew just did there may have been a good play, but now he's going to get swamped.
Now, I know that Martin likes to be consistent, but I feel like at this point in time now, you have to go on the offensive. You can't go on the defensive because we saw it earlier on when Martin ended up switching up to the third lane. Brian Schilling immediately went to the middle lane. Wherever you go, the 4 is going to go the opposite to try and make up positions on you and keep you at bay for this championship. I think if you're Martin and you've got to run to pick up a spot, you've got to take it now at this point in time.
Absolutely. Let's see where everyone's scored now. Martin's 6th with DeSpirito in the lead. And just like you said, there goes Schilling to the inside with the 088 in front of him. And yeah, he was scored 8th that last lap. Metallic's going to look down there as well. There's not going to be a lot of patience in this pack.
Remember, it was 2 points separating Schilling from Martin coming into tonight. That is 2 positions. Bonus points don't matter because both of them have taken a turn out in front. And right now, if Martin's able to edge out, well, not only the 088, but the 39, that would be 3 positions he'd have up on Schilling, which would be 1 point to the good for Martin. This is going to be close.
Now, here's a question. Do you know what the tiebreaker is? I can't remember.
Honestly, I don't. I don't remember what the tiebreaker is. The last time that there was a tiebreaker for the championship went back to that one season I was talking about back in, I think it was the late season 40s. I want to say season 47 or season 48, where Seminara and DeSpirito ended up tying at the end. I don't know how the tiebreaker was determined, so it's safe to say if we end up having the tiebreaker, we'll be getting one of the Talladega Challenge Series admins in here to be able to make the call and let you know who is actually hoisting the championship trophy, but we're still going to have about 11 laps to go here, so it may still be a clear cut and dry scenario of who the champion is.
Let's see how many cars we got here in this lead draft. At least on the lead lap, we have 11, 12, 13, maybe 14 if Bernie Mobs is able to hold on to it. Not sure if he will, but at least back to John Godfrey in 13th is going to have a shot at the win. We're coming to 10 laps to go this time. And they're trying to make hay on the inside lane, but with them well formed on the outside, they're not going to be making too much progress unless a third lane forms.
You talked about some of the sleepers earlier on. Look who we got up here in this lead pack. Jeff Crivello has cycled around to 4th position. You've got JT Mayhew still in the mix in 9th position. Glenn Harris at the tail end of this pack in 11th. And Craig Hagley in the 32. I'm pretty sure he was involved in at least 2 of the 3 cautions we've had here tonight. The pit road incident brought out the 2nd yellow, and the big wreck off of turn 4 that brought out the 3rd caution. And he's up here still with a shot. Oh, wreck in the back! Schilling, Emery, Harris together. Godfrey's around. Hagley is involved as well. Caution's going to wave 4th time tonight. We're going to get a restart with less than 10 to go.
You know who that just saved was Ronnie Solon.
Yes, it did.
Keep an eye on the battle for the lead here.
There's the 38 of Sullins right there.
You're going to be able to stay on the lead lap here.
I think he might.
It won't matter because then he'll get the free pass anyway.
Yep, I think he is going to stay on the lead lap here, which is going to be good news for Cy Jones and Tom Dixon, because that means those two will be back on the lead lap with the free pass. But, well, it was right in the middle of that lead group. Glenn Harris was involved. I think the initial contact might have been between the 000 and the 4. Don't know what exactly happened, but there's additional damage now on the right rear quarter panel of Schilling. Looks like some left side damage as well.
Oh. Schilling bumper grabbed off the 088.
It has been a very interesting night for Brian Schilling.
Oh my gosh. And he didn't hit anything and then hit Glenn Harris, who was trying to get going, and then also ran into the back of. That may have been what gave him the damage, and those are some hard hits. That may actually really hurt him.
Boy, the 4 actually almost went up and over, almost grip flipped. And, oh. Yep, gets into Harris, and then an additional shot from the one of Jeremy Jeffries. Oh gosh, and then you got the 143 and the 72 flying in there. They never even made an attempt to slow it, looked like. They were going pretty fast.
I can't believe that they missed all that.
Yeah, right? So that nearly was another hit for the 4.
Although that would have taken him out if he got hit by guys going that speed.
Oh, yeah. At 15 to go, it's race back. So those drivers were racing back to the line. So you kind of need to race back to the line with caution, especially when you see smoke all over the back straightaway. Chris Emery went for a wild ride there as he was up and over. Let's look at the 8 of Glenn Harris, who he, along with Craig Hagley, I was mentioning, they had a shot here. JT Mayhew of having a great end of the season. John Godfrey there. And watch this again as Schilling. Yeah, Harris is just trying to get the thing refired, and Jeremy came in there somewhat fast as well. You could see the speed was decreasing, but still coming in pretty fast, and now the question marks are out again on how up to speed the 4 car is going to be.
Yeah, I don't think that's just looking at those hits. I don't think that he's going to be in very good shape here. Of course, send a shout out to Milt Surratt from earlier in chat saying that he was Team Sullins. Well, Mr. Sullins
there
just
is
got
hope.
The break of the year right there. Yeah, he's going to need a lot of help, but hey, he now has a chance. Albeit a slim one.
It is slim, but hey, it's super speedway racing. You never know what can happen. And right now, with Cy Jones and Tom Dixon getting the free pass, that means we'll have 22 drivers back on the lead lap. Still means that Rodney Sullins, if he's able to win the race here tonight and get a little bit of help on the rest of his competitors finishing down in the running order, mathematically, he still does have a shot at the championship. If we had only, say, 14 or 15 drivers on the lead lap, then Sullins wouldn't have had a shot. But there's still a chance.
Let's see, with how they're going to be scored, it's going to be Despirito, as long as everything holds as it is. Despirito, Garrett, Crivello, shout out to the 56. And then Demar is going to be second car on the outside. Ooh, boy. He's in the championship position right now. How aggressive is he going to be is the question.
Yep. He's got a bit of a gap between himself and Brian Schilling, obviously. Schilling, I believe, has come back down pit lane for some additional damage repair. Now, the 24 of Joe DeSpirito got this chance for a little refresher. He now has led the most laps. So, in our calculations, we got to add in an extra bonus point to the 24. He's now led 17 laps, eclipsing the 13 previously most led laps by Kelly Causey. So, I believe that now the max points that DeSpirito could get if he closed out the deal with a win here tonight would be 47.
40s, okay. Because with Martin leading a lap, but not the most, the gap between those guys is basically 10. As far as when they were coming into this race, and then you count those points as they were. So it's still Martin, but he can't afford to lose very many spots here. And that's assuming, of course, that DeSpirito is able to hold on to this lead.
Right.
And exactly what Jeff Crivello, who's going to end up being the guy behind him, is going to end up doing.
Yeah, the gap between Martin and DeSpirito, since that's where the focus would be right now with the question out on the 4 of how up to speed he's going to be, was 11 points. If I can quickly do the math in my head, with DeSpirito in the lead, Martin in 4th, that's 3 positions. Cancel out the bonus point for lap led, add the bonus point for most laps led to the 24. That would be a gain of 4 points, which means that Martin would have DeSpirito still by 7 points as things currently run. Add in the 3 points if DeSpirito wins. That makes it down to 4 points between the 24 and the 43. So theoretically, if DeSpirito wins this race, Martin needs to finish at least in the...
like 6th.
Yeah,
6th
or 7th position. Yep.
And it's going to be a 5-lap shootout here.
Bear in mind, too, this race could end under caution.
Yeah.
We may not make it to the white flag under green flag conditions. I believe when we take the green, they make one circuit, and the next flag ends the race. So we don't know exactly which flag we're racing to.
And you never know when that first one's going to come out.
That's right.
So that's critical right there. So it's pretty much up to the 24 and the 43 at this point, unless the 4 is still up to pace, which I don't know. And if the 38 isn't able to make a Hail Mary around the outside or something, you can't exactly pull a Ross Chastain here at Talladega.
Well, Rodney Sullins, by staying on the tail end of the lead lap, did not have to start at the tail end of the field here via the lucky dog on this restart. So he picked up a couple of spots there under this caution period. He'll restart up in 16th rather than back outside of the top 20. Brian Schilling is going to restart 19th of the 20 trucks on the lead lap. And DeSpirito and Martin will be kitty corner, with DeSpirito the leader and Martin in the 4th position. You've still got a lot of other players up here. Donnie Garrett on that outside of the front row. He's been in the conversation for the checkered flag for the last couple of months. Jeff Crivello right there in that State Farm number 56 Dodge Ram. Josh Metallic, he's up here inside of the top 5 in that Tony Kanaan livery. Bob Seminara would love to get back to victory lane. So would Tim Knopfsker. Bernie Mobbs right there. Bob Dixon. And even after being upside down the back straightaway, pole sitter Chris Emery still in the 10th position for what is going to be the final restart of the night potentially here. DeSpirito, can he get a little bit of luck here win this race, have the 43 drop back to claim his 7th championship. We are 5 laps away from finding out. Green flag back in the air at BSR.
Emery, a little peek there, and a gap now for Despirito. What's he going to do with it? You going to try to block that outside, or is he going to try to stick with Crivello? And what's Crivello going to do to try to get his first ever win?
Remember, the 24, the 43, they're battling for the championship. Everybody else doesn't care. They want to get that final checkered flag of season 60. Crivello in a great position right now. He'll stay committed to the 24 down the back straightaway. Metallic's going to lead the inside line here. Remember, for Metallic and Tim Nofsky, we saw them working with Brian Schilling earlier. They can still help him by getting around the 24 and taking away the bonus points for winning the race. So that might be what their goal is right now.
Very possible. Now, oh boy. Despirito on his own there for a moment. Crivello's going to get to his outside. That's good for the 43. And look at Josh Metallic now. He's going to be up here. Second car on the inside. There's Nosker, like you were talking about. Those guys are still going to have a great chance at it. How aggressive is Despirito going to be, though? I have to imagine very.
Brian Schilling jumps up to the 3rd lane. I guess the 4 is still up to speed, or else he's trying a last-ditch effort here. Mired back around the 17th position, taking Jeremy Jeffries and Kelly Causey 3 wide. Paglia goes up there with him. Emery's up in that 3rd lane. Does the 4 have one last gasp here in the closing stages to get this championship? He's just got to get up there to the 43.
3 laps to go this time. He's actually not looking too bad. I am really, really surprised. I really thought that those hits would have taken that 4 car out of contention with the damage that it had, but no, it's looking great. And if they can get some more cars out there, there's a chance that maybe could try to sniff that 43 and maybe try to get back into the picture.
If you're Richard Martin, you have to be aware of where Brian Schilling is right now. If that 3rd line starts moving, he may have to jump up there to block it and stall out its momentum. We'll see if he does so. Remember, we saw him last week have an opportunity to move up and block Chuck McClure for the win. He didn't take it. He wanted to make sure he didn't wreck the truck, trying to make a last-ditch effort for the checkered flag, wanted the maximum points. Now he may have to make the block to be able to win this championship, but he'll stay in the middle line, and Emery, I think, might get alongside him here going through 1 and 2.
This is incredible. You got 3 trucks up there, and they are making hay with Emery and Schilling and Paglia up there. Yeah, that caution also saved Paglia, who spun coming off the pit road. Side by side with the 24 and the 56. Oh, man, this is going to be good. We are coming to the white flag. Just hoping we make it back.
Despirito still out in front, but only by half a truck length. Crivello trying to lead that middle line, about 5 positions between the 24 and the 43. The 4 up on that outside line. Sullins boxed in back there, almost had some contact between himself and Glenn Harris. 2.66 miles at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway to determine the championship. White flag is in the air.
Racing back now no matter what, and I think that's what we were hoping for. Jim Glaude kind of clipping the apron there. But it is still on for this race win. Martin looking good, but not safe yet.
Push is going to come to shove, and that 43 is boxed in, nowhere to go. Big push on the outside line. Garrett to Crivello. Crivello going to try and pin the 24 down here, going through 3 and 4. Little slip up there. That might give Despirito the edge he needed.
Yeah, Crivello not quite as steady, and it's looking good now for Despirito to win this thing. But the question is the 43 going to be able to hold on as far as positions? Is there
3 wide there. I think Seminara might have gone up to block that 3rd lane, and there's a wreck. Emery up into the wall, Schilling up into the catch fence. This race is going to end under caution as Despirito picks up the victory. Martin, I think, unofficially crossed in 5th.
7th.
Oh, it's going to be close.
Wow.
It's going to be so close. Could be 1 point, could be a tie. Oh, man, we got to wait for official scoring because I'm not even going to try and do the math in my head here. Schilling
right now,
and Emery.
7th.
They got together there through the exit of the tri-oval, so Schilling, we know, will not win the championship. Sullins crossed the line in 15th. He was the long shot of the championship four coming in. Martin's coming down pit road. I wonder if Despirito's won the race and the championship. Otherwise, I think the 43 would have been out here doing burnouts unless they don't know themselves. I mean, the 24 is going to do burnouts regardless because of winning the race.
I have no idea. I really don't, because of that. Because the wild card in that is Despirito leading the most laps, but Gmar still got a lap led and a bonus point for that. So, Seth, holy cow!
Yeah, I mean,
great race.
I'm going to just try here unofficially to do some math. The winner, not counting the bonus points, gets 43 points. Martin finishing in 7th, it'd be 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, would get 37 points. Add the bonus points in for lap led, add the bonus point in for most laps led, add the 3 bonus points in for getting the victory. My scoring here says that Despirito gained 10 points on Martin, and he was 11 points behind Martin coming tonight. Now, again, my math may not be correct, but I've got it. Martin 1 point for the championship.
And if I'm doing the same math, but I'm doing it kind of in a different way, I think in my head they're tied. But I don't know.
Man. Oh gosh. Well, Despirito we know wins the race. This is the one thing we can confirm at this point in time.
Oh,
Metallic
yeah.
gets second, Crivello third. We'll be talking to them as the podium finishers here tonight. Great way to end out the season for Metallic. Best finish, I believe, of the season for Crivello. Novsker and Garrett, the top 5. Dixon, Martin, maybe your champion. We'll wait and see. 7th, Gloud, Mayhew, and Seminara, the top 10. Oh, man. Wiley Code, 11th. Bernie Mobs, 12th. John Godfrey, 13th. Good comeback run for him to end out the season. Kelly Causey and Rodney Sullins completing the top 15. Sullins was in a pretty deep hole about 2/3 of this race through, as well as coming into tonight. He'll get 15th. Brian Schilling. Tell you what, if a guy had an adventurous night in a finale, being the points leader, it would probably have to be that 4. Up in the catch fence, coming to the checkered flag at 16th. Paglia in 17th. Hagley, Harris, Jeffries, and Emery. Harris and Jeffries were the top 20 completion. Then Emery inside Jones, the last drivers finish on the lead lap. Dixon, McClure, and Nisus all off the lead lap, and then Hewlick, Palmer, Farrell, Rogers, and Hagelin, the drivers that did not reach the conclusion of this one. I don't think anybody knows who won the championship. I think that's why you didn't see anybody congratulating the 43. Saw a couple of drivers giving a congratulatory bump to the 24, but I think that was just a good win bump. I don't think even the drivers know who's got the championship right now.
I mean, you can't take anything away from Despirito. He ran a
No.
perfect race there.
Did exactly
And
what he
I
needed
will
to do
also,
tonight.
yeah, exactly. I will, just while we have what we've got right now, I will send massive shout outs to like Jeff Crivello, Bob Dixon, and Jim Gloud, guys that maybe you don't see up there at the front every time in these super speedways. And they're going to finish 3rd, 6th, and 8th, respectively. Great job to those guys. That is awesome to see. Of course, Despirito with a phenomenal race. Metallic with a great push. Corello probably would have had a chance there, but just that little bobble there in 3 and 4 was probably what did it. But still, that was great stuff. Honestly, Seth, I was this close to racing in this because I wasn't sure what the commentary situation would be. But then once you had mentioned to me that, hey, you were going to be by yourself, I was like, oh, man, I don't know if I would want to be in the middle of a battle like this. I'll go ahead and jump up here. And honestly, I'm so glad I did.
Didn't know
This is
you were going to
phenomenal.
trade in your steering wheel for a calculator.
I knew about the headset, but not a calculator.
Well, shout out to the admins at RTG. They always seem to be on the ball in getting the points updated before we go off the air. The results are in. Richard Martin by 1 point is the season 60 RTG Talladega Challenge champion. Unbelievable.
One
Despirito will be
point.
1 point shy of capturing his 7th championship. Schilling will be 7 points back, and Sullins will finish 4th of the championship for 24 points out. We said 6th or 7th was about where Martin needed to be to still be in the hunt for the championship. He got the 7th. If he had finished 8th, we would have had a tie and then probably had more questions, but how about that? Didn't win a single race all season long. Consistency gets the 43, his first championship.
How about that? And weren't we talking about it? We were thinking like, should he go to that outside? Should he lead in front of Chris Emery? It's very possible that then that gap would have been filled and he would have lost maybe a couple positions. He could have maybe gained a few, but you don't know. So the move to stay in the middle has paid off. And like you said, the consistency and just keeping it where it needed to be. Richard Martin gets the championship by sticking to his guns and not really doing anything crazy. He was on that outside lane and he stayed there the full final run there.
Well, we are going to be talking to 4 drivers here tonight as a result. We'll be talking with our podium finishers first and then talking to your season 60 Talladega Challenge Series champion, Richard Martin. Let's kick things off and see if we can dial up the guy that brings it home on the podium tonight in 3rd place. And that would be Jeff Crivello.
User was moved.
Hey,
to
Jeff,
your
it's Andrew
channel.
and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got me?
I sure do, guys. How you doing?
I'll tell you what, I mean, a lot of drivers with different goals here in tonight's season finale. Obviously, you trying to end out the season on a high note. You had a shot at that checkered flag here this evening, side by side for the last few laps there between yourself and the 24. What last little bit did you need there off of turn 4, or were you kind of at the mercy of the drivers behind you staying committed, keeping that momentum pushing you forward?
A little bit of both. I probably needed about 2 more horsepower. We lost ground in the turns, but we made it up in the straights, and too bad the checkered flag wasn't done a straightaway.
Now, obviously, here tonight, a little bit different from last week. Last week, no cautions coming out after that first yellow, so it all was about execution. Here this evening, cautions timed a little bit interesting, giving us that 10-lap shootout to the checkered flag. I want to go inside the mind of a driver here, because Andrew and I were talking about it, and the fact that obviously everybody wants to get that checkered flag. At the same time, you don't want to make a move that might cost somebody the championship. I mean, the 24 is battling for a
DMAR by 1
championship
point.
title.
Joe wins
You're
the
going
bracket.
for the checkered flag. So when push came to shove, how much contact was going to be made? How much punching was going to take place there? Like, what were you going to be willing to do to make sure you were the first one back to the line?
I was pretty much committed to where I was because I just got to keep a car behind me. Because if somebody went around me, then they get a group of guys, and then I sink to the bottom of the lake.
See if my broadcast colleague here, Andrew's got any question for you.
I guess.
Come on, Andrew,
I
you
guess
can come up with one.
if I am going to come up with one, because I've had this scenario play out in my head before, and you were kind of in that tonight. I mean, you're where you finished compared to the 24 could have affected the championship potentially. Was that going through your mind?
No, what was going through my mind is not having all the 2 lanes get so close that somebody comes up a hair and sends me spinning. So I was just trying to keep somebody behind me, and wherever it ends up, that's where it goes.
Well,
A great run to you, dude.
absolutely. Jeff, your best finish of the season here in the final race of the year. You put it on the podium. Congratulations on a job well done. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
All right. I have a big thanks to Josh for running this series. I'm glad he could be in here tonight. I was a little in doubt because he won a little raffle and got to go 3 rounds of sparring with Chuck Norris, and he did obviously survive. So big thanks to him, and yeah, it was a good ending to a rough season for me.
Absolutely. Third place here tonight in the season finale for Jeff Crivello. Congratulations on the job well done. Great battle there at the end. Hopefully, this is a sign of some good momentum to start out season 61. So, best of luck to you there.
Thank you guys, and I'll listen to the broadcast, and I'm sure it was a good one.
Absolutely. Well, from a commentator's point of view, you drivers put on a heck of a show. So, thank you very much for that. Have a great off season.
Thank you, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Jeff Crivello bringing it home.
User was moved
P3.
out of your channel.
Let's see if we can dial up the guy that brings home second place here tonight.
User
See if
was
we can
moved
get
to
Josh
your
Metallic.
channel.
Josh, Andrew, and Seth up here in the FRM booth. Got a copy?
I got you.
All right, we just heard from, apparently from Crivello. You went 3 rounds with Chuck Norris and survived. You also survived by running out of fuel there at the timing of that second caution. Got the push around, and you bring the thing home for second place. So, sounds like an adventurous day for you.
Yeah, thanks to gosh, he wasn't even pushing me. I know Tim helped. I think Jeremy helped push. Yeah, we were coming to pit road and the yellow came out, and just instinctively I just turned back onto the track, and I'm like, oh crap, I've got almost no fuel left. So I tried to clutch like crazy, and I only got halfway down the back stretch, and luckily the rules do allow people to push you. Not at the finish of a race. So I ran out, Craig ran out in the 32, and we had some help getting back to pit road. So appreciate those guys for doing that.
Let's talk about that final run to the checkered flag. I mean, obviously, as we were just talking with Jeff, drivers up there trying to end out the season with a checkered flag, not battling for the championship. Now, you were kind of boxed in there on that inside line. If a gap opened up, were we going to see you make a move for this race lead? Were you committed to the 24? Like, what was the scenario right there for you in the closing stages?
I'm committed to the 39 and 39 alone at the end. Yeah, if I could have gotten clear, I would have definitely tried to make a move. There was a few times where I, thought about drifting up and seeing if Crivello would give me the space to squeeze through there, and he boxed me in like he should because he still wanted to race it up. But yeah, if I had a chance, I'm racing for that. I want to win. So could not get him clear. I kept waiting for that high line to come in, but so much attrition in the race, I knew that was unlikely. So I just pushed him as hard as I could, trying to push the 24 clear, myself clear, but I never got there. So sometimes you have to take what you've got and not wreck a good finish, getting a little extra selfish. So I'll take a P2.
Yeah, great way to end out the season, no doubt about that. Andrew, you got anything for Josh?
I guess I'll ask the same thing I did to Crivello. Josh, were you even really aware that there was a chance that how well you pushed Despirito may have potentially influenced the championship?
Yeah, I knew who was in it, obviously, and roughly where they were in points. And those are 4 guys racing for a championship. The rest of us are racing for wins. No one wants to be the guy to ruin their season, but we're not rolling over for them. I'm not making moves based on points or championships. I try to stay free and clear and just do my own thing, and it gives you the freedom to make moves and not feel like you have to stick with someone. So I knew there was stuff going on. I knew the points were close. I didn't want to be impacting it negatively, but you're here to race, not do point stuff for other people. So we try to race it up, and yeah, if I'd gotten clear, I would have made a move and seen what would happen at that point.
Well, Josh, a great way to end out the season for you here this evening. Second place in the finale. We were saying to Crivello, hopefully the good finish tonight is a sign of good things to come at the beginning of the start of season 61. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Congrats to Demar, Richard Martin. I think that's his first series championship. Done a great job. Done a great job. It was totally consistent. Guys were winning races and then finishing 30th. He was there every week, steady, and he earned it. So great job to him. Joe on the brackets. I don't know how many races, championships he's lost by 1 or 2 points, but if you added those in, I don't know where he'd be at with championships. But bracket series to Joe DeSpirito, good job. Tim and Wiley, thanks so much for dealing with me all these seasons through the years, and ready to start again in 2024. Bones and Prime for keeping the doors open. You guys for doing these broadcasts. We love them. You guys are awesome at what you do. And obviously the drivers showing up. Tonight was a rough one. Was not our best race, but for all the bad ones, we have a whole lot of really good ones. So we'll move on. But yeah, congrats to everyone, and on a good season overall.
I'll tell you, definitely kept us on our toes up here in the booth. Sure was entertaining for the fans watching as well. Josh, congratulations on a great run here tonight. Again, hopefully this is going to give you some good momentum at the start of the 2024 season. Congratulations on the great run tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Josh Metallic
User was moved out of
matching
your
his best
channel.
finish on the season, his second finish in the runner-up spot. Let's see if we can now go down to victory lane, ending out the year with 3 trips to victory lane, but unfortunately 1 point shy of his 7th championship. We'll see if we can dial up the driver, the number 24, Joe DeSpirito.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Joe, it's Andrew and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey, got you guys. What's up?
Well, man, I'll tell you what. I mean, you did everything you had to do here tonight. You led the most laps. You win the race. You get the maximum 48 points. We were up here trying to burn the calculators, trying to figure out who mathematically won the championship and everything. It kind of looked like visibly nobody down there on the racetrack knew who the champion was going to be. Is it an empowering feeling, a helpless feeling when you're out in front and you're not able to really determine everything else that's going on behind you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just kind of look in the rear view and listening to your guys if the third lane's coming. And, I was on the bottom, and, yeah, like you said, I really couldn't do much. Just did all I could, got all the points I could. To be honest, I was more bracket racing than anything. I was 13 points out coming in. I didn't think I had a shot. And I was just kind of trying to stay in front of Tim there. And I don't really bracket race most of the time, but tonight, just because I thought I was out, I kind of changed my strategy there. And then, after the race, they're like, "Oh, you lost by 1 point." What? So there's nothing else I could have done though. 48 points. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, gave it a heck of a try here tonight. Congratulations on that bracket championship here in season 60. Obviously hindsight's 2020, but coming up 1 point short here tonight of getting that elusive 7th championship. How much do you now kind of look back at what went down at Talladega last week? I mean, just maybe that one position better could have been the difference.
Yeah, I mean that was out of my hands too. It's just I had an internet problem, and give a shout out to Spectrum for continuously messing me up in the playoffs. But that's okay. I'll just keep it rolling going to next season. But yeah, it just had my hands. I warped, had to go to the back. It stayed green. We pitted, and it just got spread out, and the yellow never came out, so I couldn't gain any more spots there or anything like that. It's just those green flag runs that happens a lot on Tally V3 compared to the track we ran tonight, BSR. So yeah, just one internet issue and messed everything up.
See if Andrew's got any questions for you here.
All I can really think of from a question perspective, at least from a race win perspective, you and Jeff Crivello were side by side there for a while, which was awesome to watch. A few times that you were clear, did it ever occur to you to try blocking him on the outside there, or were you pretty committed there to that inside?
Yeah, I was pretty committed having Tim trapped on the bottom there, and I know Schilling was trying and clawing every point he could. I'm pretty sure he was in the third lane. I didn't want to go up there and get trapped in the middle there, so I just rode the bottom. And like I said, I was glad Tim was trapped there. And yeah, I was just committed there. Like I said, I just was riding around in the lead on the bottom and couldn't do anything more. It was all happening behind me, and yeah, I'm happy with the bracket, man. That's 4 brackets for me. I think I got it last season too, so it's 2 in a row. Um, so I'm happy with that, and I'm glad for Demar, man. That's his first championship. So he's my landscaper. So I'm kind of wondering why I was warping last week. I'm wondering if he cut my wires. But just kidding. But
I think you found the problem.
Yep.
yeah, no, congratulations to him. He ran a great season.
Well, a heck of a try here tonight, Joe. Made it exciting at the end. 3 wins on the season here in season 60 and that bracket championship as well. Congratulations on a tremendous overall 60th season here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Some great momentum heading into season 61 in 2024. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody at RTG. I want to thank Josh for running great series on Thursday nights. I want to thank you guys at FRN. I want to thank Jason Sheck and 260 Motorsports for sponsoring this season. Mobs Motors, my team. I want to thank my sponsors, Old City Fly Shop, oldcityflyshop.com, shipping anywhere in the U.S. Able Reels, and everybody watching at home, my dad, Uncle Travis, Elsie, Paul from Stewart Haas Racing, Dan, and all my buddies at work. Thanks, guys.
Well, Joe DeSpirito, he is your season 60 Talladega Challenge Series bracket champion and your winner here tonight in the finale at Burn Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on a great season, Joe. Best of luck in season 61. Enjoy your off season.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, we've got one
User was
last
moved out
driver
of your
we got to
channel.
dial up. He's down in championship victory lane. Now, the 43's got some association with championships in the NASCAR Cup Series, 7 of them with the King Richard Petty, and Demar gets his first here tonight. Let's see if we can dial him
User
up.
was moved to
Richard,
your
it's Andrew
channel.
and Seth up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yes, I do.
I'll
How
tell
are
you
you
what,
guys?
you talked about it last week that you were basing this entire playoffs, this entire run for the championship on consistency. I had to go back and look all the way back. You got to go to season 49, the last time a driver won the championship here in the Talladega Challenge Series without winning a race. You do it here tonight. Now, we just talked moments ago with Joe DeSpirito. We had the benefit up here of seeing where you guys were positioned, working the calculators, crunching the numbers. We figured it was about 1 or 2 point separation between you two. Joe didn't have a clue it was that close. Did you have any idea it was that close for the championship?
Yeah, I knew coming in. I think Brian was 2 points ahead of me, 1 or 2 points ahead of me. So I knew I had to keep him in sight, which I tried to do all night, was stay ahead of him when he was up in the high line, kind of even with me. I went to the low line because there was more cars there to try to keep him from, moving up. I was doing everything I could, to try to keep him behind me. But yeah,
Now, on the final run to the checkered flag, you were kind of boxed in, had a couple of options, but really had to, it seemed, stay in that middle line. We saw the third line get some momentum. You had the option of maybe going up there. Now, first off, did you have any plans of maybe trying to move to a different line outside of the middle? And secondly, being where you were, I mean, how much were you sweating that maybe there'd be some contact and there'd be nowhere to go if a wreck occurred right around your vicinity?
I was worried about the whole race. There was a wreck in my vicinity in the first few laps, and I barely avoided it. I might have actually touched somebody. I didn't get any damage or get off the track or anything, but no, I just decided to stay in that middle line no matter what. I knew Bob was back there, and he would probably help me and a couple other guys, and that's what happened because they never could quite get up to where we were. So
All right, so you've had the time to be able to process it, let it sink in. First championship of the Talladega Challenge Series. I mean, like, what does it mean to you?
it hasn't sunk in yet. I'm still sitting here with my knees knocking and sweating, and it's unbelievable. I can't even tell you how it feels right now, but just it's unbelievable. I mean, I've been trying for so very long. I'm not young anymore, and like you were saying, I tried to stay consistent and keep myself out of trouble all season, and got the finishes that I needed.
Got the finishes indeed. Andrew, you got anything for our champion?
Honestly, you actually took the question right from me about going up to that outside lane, but yeah, I can't think of anything else. Yeah, just a great consistency, and deciding to stick to that consistency in that middle lane. Ended up winning you the championship by just a single point. Good job, man, and many, many, many well-deserved congrats.
Thank you so much. I was trying to just stay in that lane and just hope for the best. I was trying to work my way up to fifth because a couple guys on my whisper were telling me if I can just stay to come in fifth or better, it's probably mine. But then I knew I wasn't going to make fifth at the end, so now I'm a little worried. And then came down to 1 point, so I can't even process it right now. It's very emotional.
Well, absolutely. We'll obviously give you the time to be able to process it. You're going to be heading into season 61 as the defending champion. Third place last week, seventh place here tonight to be able to clinch that championship trophy. Richard, congratulations on a job well done, not just tonight, but all season long to be able to get the championship here in RTG. Before we let you go, though, the floor is yours for championship. Thank you, sponsors and shoutouts.
Well, first of all, thank you to Flatout Racing, and thank you, Seth and Andrew. I want to thank Bob a lot. He kind of stayed with me, and I was kind of, chatting a little bit with him, and he helped me a whole lot tonight. And anybody else that's behind me, I don't know who it was. I was just trying to concentrate on what I was doing. I want to thank Josh, Tim, Sean, and Bones. I probably forgot somebody, I'm sure. Like I said, I just want to thank anybody who helped me to get here, stayed behind me and helped me. And I know I got a lot of repaying to do, I'm sure.
Well, nothing runs like a deer. John Deere, the sponsor on that number 43 Chevrolet, and tonight it ran to championship victory lane. Richard Martin, your season 60 RTG Talladega Challenge champion. Congratulations once again, DMAR. Well deserved. Go and enjoy this championship and enjoy your off season in preparation for season 61.
I will, and thank you so much. I want to give a special shout out to Josh for admitting Thursday night. He's done such a great job throughout the seasons, and we really appreciate him and what he does.
Absolutely. Well, that is Richard Martin. He is your champion here tonight as he brings it home in the 7th position at BSR to close out what's been an incredible, consistent season. Once again, congratulations on the championship, Dimar.
Thank you so much, guys.
User was moved out of your
Well,
channel.
as you could hear there in the voice of Martin, disbelief, relief. I think there's probably another dozen emotions I could name off that he's feeling right now. But you look at our championship 4 and the tale of 2 races. He's really the only one that was able to avoid some kind of a problem. Brian Schilling, great run last week, but tonight about 3 or 4 different incidents that he had to overcome, including a wreck off the final corner on the final lap coming to the checkers. Joe DeSpirito, you heard him, the connection problems last week, did everything he had to do here tonight to get maximum points, and it's just 1 point shy. And Rodney Sullivan back-to-back weeks of hard luck. Problems on pit road last week, and here tonight I got the confirmation that what we were wondering what happened to him on the back straightaway, his throttle stuck, and so he bailed out of the pack to avoid causing an incident. So, taking no prisoners, Talladega and Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway with our championship 4, but the one that was able to remain consistent and get the points he needed to be able to win this championship, not by much, 1 singular point, Richard Martin. And amazing that it comes down to consistency in a series like this, too, because I mentioned, we go back, 11 seasons? To Bob Seminary in season 49, the last time that a driver won a championship without picking up 1 checkered flag on that year.
Well, that's just the nature of Talladega, whether it's the RTG version that these guys run or right here at BSR. It doesn't take much, and Richard was able to do it, finishing 3rd and 7th respectively. Like you said, just consistent. The other guys, of course, yeah, Joe had a win tonight, but a bad race last week. Schilling finishing 2nd last week, and then down outside the top 15 tonight. So just came down to consistency, but if you can pile on those wins, sometimes I can do it too. It's just everything has to fall in your favor. It's, as I said last week, it is 50% skill and 50% luck in a series like this. And Martin had both go his way for sure throughout the season and these last 2 races.
Yeah, Richard Martin had 4 finishes outside of the top 10 this season. One of them was in the first playoff race, and after that, top 10s every single week for the remainder of the playoffs. He brings home the championship here tonight. He'll be the defending champion going into season 61. And, we always kind of, when we start out a new season, we look back at the previous season. There's going to be a lot of favorites going into 2024. Obviously, he's the defending champion. A lot of eyes will be on the 43 of Richard Martin, but you look at Rodney Sullivan's career year with 3 victories, Despirito 3 victories on the season, Schilling with 3 victories on the season, McClure you got to think is going to be in the conversation, and then you look at a lot of other drivers that didn't find victory lane here tonight, but former champions and drivers that have made multiple appearances up inside of the playoffs, like a Jeremy Jeffries, Bob Seminara, Josh Metallic, Grant Wesley. I mean, the field's going to be stacked going into next season. It's going to be very difficult out of the gate to determine who the favorite is going to be, kind of like it was here in season 60.
And even a bigger unknown thrown into all of that is the new mod.
Yes.
Of course, they were saying like, "Oh, race is great," but who knows? I mean, when you do a full season at these two tracks with that mod, there's those subtle little differences that these guys are going to have to figure out. They have plenty of seasons to figure out when they were running Men Cup 19, which was when I started out here. And then they had several seasons now with this NCTS 09 mod, which has been great. And now they're going to have to throw another wrench in there with the Aero 88s and figuring out like where the hitbox is and how they push and just all those little subtle nuances that come along with that when you're racing at almost 200 miles an hour, literally making contact throughout most of the field. So it is going to be something to behold, and I am very, very glad that FRN is going to be broadcasting that.
Yeah, seems like these drivers always seem to have a curveball thrown at them. First, it was the random qualifying draw. Then it was the addition of Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway onto the schedule. Then it ended up being the 2-race final round of the playoffs. And now, to your point, we've got that new Aero 88 mod coming in for season 61. It's going to be a lot of fun to see the period of adaptation that it may take for drivers in the first couple of races of the 2024 season. But we, as Andrew said, will be bringing it all to you here on FRN. You'll get a little bit of a taste of what the Aero 88 cars can do because we're going to be here on Monday night covering the Christmas race, the 2023 Happy Holidays 200 for RTG. They will be running the Aero 88 cars at Michigan Nextel Winter. Green flag will be flying at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so please join us for that. We're also going to be on your screens on Saturday night as we've got coverage of the Talladega Nights Shake and Bake series. We are nearing the end of the regular season there. We're in the second half of the regular season, heading towards the playoffs, so things are getting dicey over there. Be sure to join us for that. 9:15 is when the green flag will fly on Saturday night. Andrew, it's been a blast here in this final run of the playoffs, running towards the championship. It was great to have you last week. Great to have you again here in the booth here tonight.
Seth, I seriously cannot thank you enough for letting me do this. It's like I said, I love broadcasting these things, and doing them side by side with you is always just such a blast. I'm a little bummed that I couldn't get the. I'm going to throw this out there. I'm a little bummed I couldn't get my 47 My Hero Academia truck out there for one final run. But honestly, I'm glad I got to do this with you instead, because instead of being stressed out about like, oh geez, don't mess anything up, or just being stressed out on track of where everyone was and racing, getting to actually enjoy the championship battle, I think I definitely had a greater time with. Not that running with these guys isn't fun. It really is. I run with them on the other series as well, which if you're anyone watching this, definitely recommend checking out. Of course, the Barebone series, they're going to be running on Tuesdays and Wednesdays still. And then, of course, Air Radiates on Thursday nights now, starting in the new year. So cannot recommend racing with these guys enough. They're awesome. And I'm really, really excited to get back on track with them again next year.
Absolutely echo your endorsement. I've had the privilege of running with these guys as well in the past couple of seasons on Monday nights. So yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for a great league and some great racing, look no further than RTG. Big shout out to Jason Scheck and 260 Motorsports for their sponsorship on the season, allowing you guys to be able to see these broadcasts on the Flatout Racing Network. A big thank you to everybody that tuned into our coverage, not just tonight, but also during the entirety of this season. Cannot thank you enough. Hope you guys have enjoyed our coverage, and we look forward to bringing you more in the 2024 year. Once again, my thanks to Andrew Miller for his help in the booth here tonight. Also to my other broadcast colleague, Michael Norman, who's helped me cover a majority of this season. Unfortunately, he got called into work here tonight, so was not able to be in the booth, but appreciate his help during the course of season 60 also. Well, folks, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Joe DeSpirito wins the race. He is your Bracket Challenge champion, and Richard Martin captures his first championship in the Talladega Challenge Series here tonight in a nail-biter 1-point advantage under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Thank you all once again for tuning in. We'll see you guys Saturday night for Talladega Nights, Monday night for the Happy Holidays 200 Christmas race for RTG, and then the start of the 2024 season 61 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. For Andrew Miller, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we'll see you guys next season as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.